Right. Hopefully this thing's working right. You know, Facebook is. Are you seeing the stream at all, Danny?
Not yet.
You're not seeing the stream. Okay. That's supposed to be going to Up North Journal page. Oh, I got to hit the go live button here. See, this is all new. Here we go. Okay. Let's see what happens here. It's doing its thing. Come on, there we go. All right, now we're live. We're officially live on the Up North Journal. All right.
I just got the notification.
Okay, so, hey, Facebook's played another trick on us. Actually, right before I set this up today, Facebook went and changed their whole layout of going live. So this is all new to us. But also, you can see we've got a new look here in the cabin. So hopefully everybody likes it. Let us know what you think about it. But I've got Danny on board, and I got Ken on board. What do you guys think? What's going on, man?
As soon as I see it, I'll let you know.
Well, let me know what you
Same
think.
here.
So we'll see what happens here. We're trying something new.
Absolutely.
So hopefully.
There we go.
You got it?
There we go. All right, let me do my shares.
Well, what do you think? I want to know what you think about the.
I like it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The new look here, you know, even the cabin needs updating every now and then. So that's what we've done. And
good time to do it.
That's right. You know, we've got plenty of time on our hands. So.
Yeah.
All right, Jacob Abrams, what is going on, my man? Hello from southern Michigan, Up North Journal Cabin North, South, and down in southern Michigan. We got Ken on board tonight. We got Danny with us. And we're practicing social distancing in this COVID crisis right now. So as we get a couple chuckles here. So, all right, let me get my share out of the way here. And see if this has changed any.
Right.
Let's see, and mine's done. Okay.
Yeah. I know.
So hopefully this whole new interface with Facebook works well. We're trying it out here, so we'll see what goes on with that. It's going to take some time getting used to some of this new stuff, but we're going to do our best. I do have a poll tonight, and I'm hoping I can actually publish this poll. Let's see what happens. Uh-oh, it did something. I don't know. I had a poll, but let's see. Trying to find it is another thing.
Right.
Uh-oh.
Your poll's gone.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if the stream is still up, tell you the truth. It says it is. We'll see if we go off the air or not.
So far, so good. I still see Ken.
Well, we won't worry about the poll here. So we'll give it a minute or two and let everybody pile into the cabin here. We'll give it another minute and we'll get on with tonight's show.
Right, exactly.
See what happens here.
When you're ready, let's see. Yep. All right. I think we're good.
What do you think, Ken? Everything good on your end? All right.
Yeah.
Mr.
I mean, the audio
Fisherman
fading
himself.
Yep. Got out today. The audio is fading in and out just a little bit, but I'm still able to make out what you guys are saying.
All right. Good deal. I'll tell you what. You ready to kick this thing off?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here we go. Stand by in 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, buddy. I host Mike Adams, sitting in a new, redesigned, newly renovated cabin, as you can see on your screen there. So I've got Dan DeFaw with me, and I got Ken Cicluna with me live. We were triple boxing tonight, a newly updated version of Up North Journal. So before we get going tonight, Danny, why don't you take care of our usual quick business that we've got going?
Let's take care of our business, even though a bunch of businesses were being forced to shut down because of the COVID, but you can always check out our supporters online. You know what? Even Buck Baits. You go on over to www.buckbaits.com. You use the promo code UpNorthJournal. You'll get 20% off of your order when you check out. So that would be good. Good time to go check them out, see what they got in their lineup.
Right.
You know what? Hunter's Blend Coffee. Always a good time to have some coffee. Having it here while I'm working from home, as I do. And if you go over there to huntersblendcoffee.com and you use the promo code UNJ, you'll get 10% off your order when you check out. But that's
Absolutely.
not all. You know, with the warm weather we've had, it was like 60 today at noon. You know, it's a great day to get out and barbecue. Why not
Absolutely.
go over to rebel6rubs.com, check out their line of rubs like we use here at the Up North Journal. And you know what? If you use the promo code North Journal at checkout, you'll get 20% off. And if you remember back a couple weeks, we talked with Slade from Trips for Trade, and he gave us a promo code as well. So if you want to go over to tripsfortrade.com, use the promo code UpNorth20, you'll get 20% off your membership. So check those out, check our supporters out, and help us help them.
Absolutely. You know, and we got some people piling in the cabin. I want to give a shout out. Gina Conley is in the cabin tonight. Gina, it's the first time I've seen your name here on the show, so welcome into the cabin tonight with Danny and Ken and I, and Tom Genzel. Tom Genzel says everything's coming in good, loud and clear over there, so that's good to know. Like I said, this Facebook thing it's all new, it's all changed for us, and I found out about an hour before the show, so hopefully we keep this thing on the air tonight.
You know what? I see my brother joined in, Terry. He's the guy that asked last week about maybe some tips and tricks. So we're going to have a little bit of that tonight, Terry. We're going to ask Ken. He's our fisher guy. But you know what? Might start a segment from down the road with Ken about tips and tricks. So stay tuned for more on that.
All right. So what have you two been up to for the last week? Danny, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks now. Ken, it's been a while since we had you on the show. What have you guys been doing? Let's start with Ken. We haven't had him on in a while.
Yeah, let Ken go.
Yeah, well, you know, I until today and a little bit last week, I haven't been doing much in the outdoors. You know, being in the medical field myself, things have been really crazy the past several weeks, and I've been working a lot and just trying to, of course, do my part and not do a whole lot. But I was able to sneak out onto the water first thing this morning before all the crazy wind hit, and I got out on the water and ran into a great school of good old smallmouth bass, and that is always fun when you run into those when you run into those fish. It's a blast, and we had a great morning on the water, and yeah, that's about it. Really, I'm looking forward to getting out onto the lease here on the next sometime this week, maybe probably this Saturday, and do some trimming and some planning, and that's about it for me.
Well, I've got pictures of the two fish you caught up here, but also I noticed this week, I think it was this week, did you actually start getting rod and reels ready for your trip on the water? I mean, is this something you normally do in the early season?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm pretty good about putting my stuff away, but yeah, every year, you know, I've already went through my boat, and you know, you go through the boat, and I'm gonna be dropping a video about that, just some basic boat stuff to get ready before the water. But yeah, I bring out all my rods and reels first thing in the air. I mean, this is something I do all summer long, especially before tournaments or a fishing trip. But I kind of bring everything out here in the yard, click all the reels, make sure all the reels are still working. You know, I started going through all my tackle, doing inventory on my tackle, so when I'm going to make my big tackle order, I'm not buying stuff that I don't need. And so I just kind of inventory everything I have and I don't have, and you know, there's always a little bit of money to drop into the boat. You know, every spring, I don't care who you are, there's something you need to fix or make better on the boat. And yeah, it's kind of, I've been doing that a little bit here and there all week, you know, just sitting at home, and it's a good time to do that.
Well, I got to ask you, you went out on the water. I remember, I think it was last weekend, you and a buddy went out.
Yeah.
You had some boat problems?
Yeah, we had some boat problems. We did get some fishing in, and some fish were caught. I only caught one, like, little one, wasn't that good. My buddy actually did okay, but yeah, his big motors, you know, on these engines are water cooled, and on the back of these outboards, you can see the water spitting out that's circulating through the engine, and that water stopped spitting out of his motor, and he could have ran it, but he didn't want it to overheat, didn't want to risk blowing his motor. So we were on White Lake, and we were on the other side of the lake, and we had the trolling motor back. Thank goodness we had the wind in our favor. But yeah, we had the trolling motor back all the way across White Lake, and it was cold too. It was a cold day, and so that was interesting.
You know, hey, I got to give a quick shout out. I see Josh Hagerman is on here. He says order and tackle. You don't need. I didn't know there was such a thing about order and tackle. Josh, when you fish like Ken does, you need lots of tackle. But see, I saw that he was nailing the crappie here today. By the way, Josh, hi, like I'm sporting the Scentlock shirt too, by the way, tonight. But why is it that, you know, you guys that fish a lot, what is it about order and tackle? Because he just mentioned that. He didn't know there was such a thing. Why do you order tackle?
Well, honestly, sometimes you do legitimate need this stuff, but when you're fanatical about it, like I am, and like every single tournament bass fisherman or crappie fisherman, or when you're really into it and that's a big part of your deal, the fear, it's actually not a fear, but like a worry, like if I want something, I want to know it's there and I want to know it's plentiful. Even though I may not use it, in the back of my mind, there's this chance where I might be in a situation where I might need something. And if I don't have all my bases covered, now, not everyone's like me, but when it comes to that, I'm very, I don't know what the term for is, maybe OCD, but I have to, if I'm short on anything, it drives me bonkers, and I will so I make probably 3 or 4 tackle orders all summer long. So that's just me personally. My preference is I like to be fully stocked.
You're the guy that doesn't want to be caught without that one lure that they're all hitting on that night.
Well, it gets happened to me, and I don't like being without. And hey, it's fun. I'm not gonna lie, like. It's a little bit of a shopping addiction for men.
It's kind of like going shopping for shoes.
Oh, it's so much fun to order tackle. It's fun to get it in the mail, and I love opening that box when it comes and just see this box full is wonderful.
I gotta imagine for Josh it'd be like opening up a case of Oreos that get shipped to his house. Because Josh, I know I'm going to hit you on the Oreos, man. If you guys don't understand what's going on there, just go over his Facebook page. You'll understand.
Yeah. Yep.
So. No, that's all good. So, looking at the people that are trying to get out for the first time this year, what would you suggest for the first time? What should be the one thing they should really be looking at if they've got a boat, and maybe if they don't have a boat and if they're shore fishermen, what's the one thing they should pay attention to?
As far as for catching fish?
Well, just getting out, making sure that everything's ready to go. I mean, what's the most important thing when you get your boat out? What's the first thing you look for to make sure it's good to go?
On my boat?
Yeah.
Well, obviously the first thing I'm concerned about every single spring is the engine and the trolling motor and my batteries. Okay. Because basically without that, you have to make sure that's running and reliable. First thing. Now, I'm not very mechanically inclined, so I have Wonderland Marina preps my boat every spring, puts it away every fall. So I know when I get my boat back from the marina, they've already ran the motor, they've already tested the batteries. I know I'm good to go there. But still, I'll hook it up to my hose here in the driveway. I start it up in the driveway, run it with the hose connected, charge both my batteries. Also, and like I said, I'm going to do a video on this, but I always check my fire extinguisher because you need to have a fire extinguisher. Make sure that I didn't lose my charge on my fire extinguisher. Make sure I've got my throwable PFDs. Make sure my life jackets are in there, good to go. Check my electronics. I'll put my Hummingbird on there and turn my Hummingbird on. Make sure that all fires up. And then, of course, trailer. People kind of neglect their trailers. I'm constantly looking at my trailer, the bunks, the boat bunks, where the felt boards where the boat sits, making sure those are in good shape. My wiring, and this last part's important. I just did it yesterday, actually. It'll save you a lot of headache on the side of the road, but you got to remember to do it. Is greasing your wheel bearings on your trailer.
Absolutely.
And almost all trailers have the bearing buddy, and I always re-grease the bearings on my trailer wheels, and I get a new tube of grease, and when you're pumping it in there, you can see that old grease coming out. You can see it's nasty and grimy and dirty, and then you'll start to see that new red grease come through. Then you've got all brand new grease in those wheel bearings. And that can save you a major headache on the side of the road. People forget to do that, and it could cause you major problems, ruin your fishing trip. So those are the major things I like to do, just off the top of my head. And like I said, make sure your line inspect your line. Of course, make sure you have a fishing license, all that good stuff, and that's about it.
Okay. Well, something Danny and I were talking about off the show a couple weeks ago, and I'll ask you this question. Danny and I, we got trailers, we got campers. You got a boat that you haul. When you're hauling something, when you go to hook it up and put it on the ball on your hitch, do you put anything on for any kind of dry lubricant or wet lubricant on the ball hitch?
Yeah, I do. I mean, if I have it handy, I will, because it just makes it easier. I mean, there's been plenty of times I hook it up with no grease on there, but I usually have a bottle of WD-40, or sometimes I've even put Rem oil on there. I've had some Rem oil hanging around the driveway here, and yeah, I will. I've done that. It does make it easier, especially, that way you don't have to get it exactly perfect. I mean, I'm real good about backing up and getting a trailer on at this point in my life, but it just makes it easy if you're not perfectly lined up. If that ball's good and lubed up, you can just slide it on, no problem, even if you're off a little bit.
Well, I know, Danny, we talked about this, Dan, and like our biggest concern was about getting something like a wet lubricant on there or grease. Well, if you everybody runs around the back of their truck or utility vehicle and they bust their kneecap or their shin on their hitch.
Sure.
Well, then you get that junk on your pants. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, that's definitely that would definitely be a risk, no doubt about it.
Okay.
But it does help, and once you lock that lever down, and I always put my trailer lock back on there just as like an extra security measure that thing can't pop up. It's locked down there tight. That grease isn't going to do anything safety-wise. It just helps you get it on there, But I would just say I'm fanatical about my boat trailer. I mean, obviously I want my boat running good and everything like that, but I can't stand one little light bulb not working, anything. It drives me nuts. So I can't stress enough, check your trailer.
Well, Danny, it looks like we got a couple of questions coming in here for Ken on fishing. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know if you were bumping up on our first break, but if we're not, we can go right into the question.
Yeah. I tell you what, why don't we take a break and we'll come back and we'll ask those questions.
All right.
Okay, sounds good.
I love it.
Danny's not even in here and he's taking care of me. I love it. So,
yeah.
All right, we're going to step outside, take our first break, and we'll be right back after this. All right, for those of y'all on the live stream, some good interaction tonight. I love it.
Absolutely. We got some questions coming in, and we'll ask them of Ken here, and
keep them coming in. I can talk fishing. We can just let's turn this into a fishing show, guys.
Hey,
it's
whatever the listeners want. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah,
that's right.
We're gonna.
No, with this warm weather today, why not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They're out there.
Exactly. Yeah, it's whatever anybody wants to talk about. That's what I love about this format and the way we do this is just if we want to do something, we'll just roll with it.
Yeah, you guys want to talk pre-spawn bass fishing this time of year? I'd be more than happy to rap about it with you.
Actually, the two questions are probably gonna lead you into that.
Okay, here we go. Stand by. 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. Second segment of the show. We're rocking along tonight amid the COVID, social distancing, and all that kind of good stuff. It's not good stuff, but we're playing good. We're playing nice. We're social distancing tonight. Got the triple box rocking tonight, and bringing Ken Cicluna in from Southern Michigan, and Danny is in the UNJ Cabin South. Ken, I'd say you're in UNJ Cabin South, but Danny's already taken that name, so we got to come up with a name for. Maybe you're at the UNJ Boat Dock.
There we go. I like that.
Yeah,
the boathouse, the boat dock. Yeah,
the boathouse. Okay, you come up with a name, and that's what we'll call your location.
All right.
So,
all right,
we'll figure that out. But Danny, you got some questions for him.
Okay, so kind of we'll roll these out to you, and kind of the way we're gonna go. Josh Hageman's asking what your favorite line for largemouth bass would be on clear water, and does it make a difference if the water isn't clear to what line you'd be using?
Well, yeah, it does. So my favorite fishing line, if these Indiana, Southern Michigan lakes, these Michiana lakes, as we like to call them, the Michiana lakes are usually clear water, weed choke lakes. If I'm not fishing directly in the grass, I promise you I'm using 100% fluorocarbon line, just because there's no stretch. and it's the sensitivity. It blows monofilament. There's really no need to use monofilament anymore unless you're fishing topwater because it floats. But if I'm not fishing directly hardcore in the grass, I'm always running fluorocarbon. If I'm cranking, if I'm cranking in the grass, I'm using 15-pound fluorocarbon cranking in the grass. If I'm cranking kind of open water, or using a jerkbait, I like 10-pound. If I'm finesse fishing, drop shot fishing, wacky worm fishing, anything like that, I like to use 8-pound fluorocarbon. And then he asked what my favorite line to fish is. I like fishing with I love fishing with a 50-pound braided line, black. When you're fishing directly in the grass like that, and those largemouth don't care. The smallmouth are real sensitive. That's to the line. The largemouth are a completely different breed. They do not care about that. Line could be pink and they'll eat that lure. So I like to use 50-pound braided line, black, or 65-pound braided line. The 50-pound tends to cut through the weeds a little bit better. And but I love flipping big baits right into the hard places where, unless you're a hardcore bass fisherman, the average fisherman would never think about casting a lure into that type of area. That's where I thrive and like to fish the most. And I love to use 50-pound braided line. But on a clear water lake, especially if it's a smallmouth lake, I'm trying to get away with the lightest pound test line possible, and using fluorocarbon for sure because of the sensitivity of it, and that there's no stretch. Monofilament, you get a lot of stretch, and that in the fluorocarbon line, there's no stretch. There's very little stretch, I should say. Braid, there's no stretch. Fluorocarbon, very little stretch, and when you set that hook, you get all the fish.
Okay,
So,
all right.
All you want to know about line and more.
Right, exactly. And so then it depends. So another question is braided line a preferred line? It depends on the situation then.
Yeah, and one thing, it does depend on the situation, but one thing I think I want to start, and I haven't done this yet, but a lot of the pros, a lot of the tournament guys, a lot of my buddies run this system. What they're doing now, and I'm going to experiment with it because I think it is the way to go, is they'll actually run braided line even on their spinning reels when they're finesse fishing, when they're throwing a wacky worm or drop shot or whatever. When you're finesse fishing with a spinning rod, they'll have braided line like a 15 or 10-pound braided line as a backer, and then they'll actually connect a fluorocarbon leader to the end of that braid with what's called, there's several different knots, the FJ knot, where they'll splice the two lines together, and they'll use that braid, and then they'll have like a 4, 5, 6 foot leader of fluorocarbon, and then have the bait on the end of the fluorocarbon. And why they do that is because I mentioned sensitivity. Well, with braid, there's no stretch. And so you can really, the sensitivity is enhanced by having that braided line, and the braided line floats on top of the water, and the fluorocarbon will sink. And the one advantage you have, especially when you're finesse fishing and you're using worms and drop shots and shaky heads, that floating braid, it almost acts like a bobber. You can, and I've seen it many times. You can. Even when I'm fishing with fluorocarbon, I watch my line because sometimes they'll just barely pick it up and barely swim off with it, and you can watch that line, and you'll I've probably missed a lot of fish not fishing braid like that. So you get more sensitivity, and you can use it as a bobber almost watching that line if something picks it up. So a braid is a big deal. Now there's a lot of applications for it.
Okay.
Yep.
So Josh Hagerman, they're down in Indiana, and he makes a comment here that they were crappie fishing all week. They did a great job, and then yesterday it rained, and then today they went out and only caught one. So weather is definitely a factor then?
100%. So what he experienced there, if I had to guess, I don't know the exact conditions down there, but anytime, and it's not a sure shot thing because it's fishing, but most of the time you get a big front like that, those fish will eat before the front. And a lot of times the best fishing days there are these days where it's raining and blowing and nasty out in cloud cover. That's when they're eating the best. And then what happens is that front moves through, all that low pressure moves out, and that barometric pressure rises. And you see these bluebird skies the day after a storm, and the cold front comes through. And the next day, it's almost always bright blue skies, sunny, barometric pressure up over 30. Then it just shuts them down because they got that bladder in there, and they don't like that high barometric pressure, and it just kind of hunkers them down. If you ever look at a fish tank, or actually my buddy who owns a bait shop showed me this one time. If you ever go into a bait shop or a fish tank, notice on the days where it's cloudy and the weather's bad, those fish will be swimming all around the tank, whether it's in a fish tank or a bait tank. On the nice bright days, you'll see all the bait balled up on the bottom, just sitting there, and that's something you can observe even with the fish tank. And those really high barometric pressure days, especially after a front comes through, it just shuts them right down.
It kind of reminds me even like deer hunting. Like before a front comes in, when you get a storm front coming in, you hunt that pre-front.
Yep.
You see a lot more feeding activity or a lot more animal activity. So it's not just fish, I guess.
No, it definitely relates. It's the moon, all that.
All right. So what else you got over there, Danny?
So now we know you went out today. You got into smallmouth. We'll talk about the smallmouth right now and what you're out there, because it's called the pre-spawn right now, right?
Yep. Right now it's pre-spawn fishing. Yeah.
So we'll go with that right now. In the pre-spawn condition, what matters most? Is it the color? Is it the presentation? Is it the speed? What's your first out of the box? What are you going to look at there, and maybe what will be your first lure that you're going to take out of the box?
So water temperature is going to dictate everything this time of year for me personally. I mean, obviously weather conditions, but the number one thing that I know I look for, and got a lot of bass guys that are a lot better than me, they pay very close attention to that water temperature. Today the water temp was 45 degrees. So it's still kind of cold. Last week it was 41, 42. It was really cold. So you want to fish something slower. I mean, not to say you can't catch them on a moving bait, because guys are catching them on chatterbaits and crankbaits. But I like a jerk bait. I caught all my fish on a jerk bait today, a Rapala jerk bait. And it's something you can fish really slow. I was actually working it. Once I knew I was catching smallmouth, I need to slow down some all over the map, but I'm going to take a step back. So a jerk bait, if I'm on largemouth and the water temperature is cold like it is, I kind of want to fish that jerk bait slow, because they're a lazy fish. Their metabolism isn't ramped up yet. So I'll actually jerk, and then I've been counting to 7 before I twitch that jerk bait again. I have to make myself stop and count to 7. But once I realized I was around smallmouth, they're a lot more aggressive. They're meaner. They're just a meaner fish. And so I was fishing that jerk bait just a little. I was just twitch. I was working it in pretty quick, and they're eating it. But for the most part, when you're fishing for green ones, largemouth, you want to fish real kind of slow. But as that water temperature gets up into the 50s, you can start throwing lipless crankbaits, or like a lot of guys know them as rattle traps. Those are great pre-spawn bait, rattle traps. So there's a bait called a chatterbait. Any kind of moving bait that's making a disturbance, make them react. But as that water temperature gets up into the 50s, that's when we start throwing a lot more moving baits. But this time of year, it's hard to beat a jerk bait. Jerk bait's my go-to deal right now in this 40-degree something water temp.
Any specific color?
So Clearwater, Michiana lakes. I'm always looking for, when you're fishing a Clearwater lake, the fish's bread and butter in these lakes is bluegill and perch and emerald shiners and things like that. So anything with a bluegill pattern, any kind of natural pattern, you can't go wrong. So you really it's again, match the hatch. So, down south, in the Tennessee River system, and they threadfin shad, gizzard shad. I mean, we have gizzard shad in the Great Lakes, so you could run a shad pattern. But on these Michiana inland lakes, I mean, bluegill is king. Bluegill and crawfish are king, more so bluegill. So you want anything that imitates a bluegill or a perch, and you're going to be just fine. Yeah, cool. Or red. Actually, a red, for some reason, and I don't know, I think it's the color, the molting color of crayfish this time of year. They tend to be red this time of year. A lot of guys, and I actually did catch a pike this morning on a reddish orange rattle trap lipless crankbait. That's a great color too in that lipless crankbait. But other than that, I'm looking for bluegill or perch imitation.
Nice, that's awesome. And so the pre-spawn, as you say, we're in now. Is this all going to be based on water temperature as we go into the months to get into the spawning? Is that how? Is that?
Yep.
That's what snaps it, is water temperature.
Water temperature and moon phase. Those fish tend to like to spawn on a full moon. So when you get and the bigger fish, from what I've been told, I don't know this for sure. I don't really. I'm not that big of a bed fisherman. I'm not that guy. I don't like sight fishing. I like to fish out deep. But from what I've seen over the years, and from what I've heard from biologists, is them fish like to spawn once that water up there gets around 60 degrees. They like to spawn. For them eggs to survive, that water's got to be up there. So when it's about 60 degrees, those fish will go up there and spawn. And as soon as you get that usually the first couple of weeks of May, you'll get 60-degree water temperature and a full moon, and you have those two together, you'll go up there. And the big female will only be up there for a day or two. She don't hang out long. She'll actually move up. I've heard they move up more like 56, 57-degree water. They move up because the buck is already up there, got the bed fanned out, ready for her. And they'll actually move up first, make the bed, prepare everything, and then females will move up and lay their eggs, and they'll do their thing, and then they move off. They're out of there. They don't hang. The big girls don't hang on the beds too long, and then the male will actually stay there for weeks and guard the eggs. And once they hatch, they're called fry guarders, and that buck will hang around that bed and guard the fry after they hatch for a week or two. It's pretty cool, actually. But yeah, water temperature, it's really cool when that water temperature gets 50, 55 degrees, somewhere in there, and that full moon's coming. They go on a feeding frenzy. I mean, they go on an absolute feeding frenzy where they're just eating because they know they're about to spawn and expend. Because when they're spawning, they don't care about eating; they just care about spawning. And once that water temperature starts getting into the 50s and the spring rolls on, there is a magical time where they eat anything you put in front of them. And I've been terrible with the pre-spawn. The past couple of years, I've been getting better. But man, and when you find them this time of year, you usually find a school of them. So it's pretty good.
Okay, cool.
Man, I just learned more about spawning season than I've ever known before. I feel like I've been to school.
yeah, it's really neat. It's a great time of year to be fishing.
Yeah, that's interesting stuff. I mean, I've kind of dug into the stuff about turkeys and about deer, but I never knew a male fish was called a buck. I never knew that.
Yep, they're called a buck. Yep.
Interesting. That shows you how much I know about fishing, though. I'll tell you what, we're bumping up here on our second break, so let's step outside, take our next break, and we come back, we'll continue the conversation. We'll be right back after this.
And if you guys got any more questions for Ken and fishing right now, the pre-spawn, or maybe something about the boat or anything like that, feel free to type away and let us know what you want to ask them, and we'll try to get it answered for you here on the show, because it's good. I know turkey season's a couple weeks away, but it's fishing season. I was at the lake today, and there was a few boats out there before the wind.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It was a great morning. It was a perfect morning.
Was it really?
Oh, it was wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a couple people heading out there with their kayaks, and then the wind kicked up, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been windy. It's beating the house right now. It's been pretty bad today, or later this afternoon. So, all right, here we go. Stand by in 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. Third segment of the show. Ken just took us to school on fishing. I tell you what, if you guys are tuning in here a little late, you need to make sure and check out the recorded part of this show later, because the first two segments have been on the early fishing season here, and he's given us some great information. So, Danny, what you been up to? I know you've been busy here the last couple of weeks. I know you put some miles on.
Yeah, I've been doing about 5 miles a day walking. Gym's closed, so we got to do something to keep going. And getting that 5 miles in, like we said, we had a 5K that we were going to be getting into, which would have been Saturday, but it was kind of canceled.
Yeah.
So they asked us to do it virtually.
And you went over to Seven Lakes?
I went over to Seven Lakes, my 5-mile track that I got, and I actually drove it to figure out what 3.1 was, so I knew the beginning, the middle, and the end. And I sent you a picture of my running partner that I had.
Oh, well, I thought maybe that you were, let me see if I can find it. I got it right here. I thought maybe you were actually looking for fishing bait for Ken here. You had a little crawdad.
I tell you what, he was in the middle of the road in the rain.
I've seen that.
And I didn't get it. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I helped him. I got him off the road. And I was like, you know what? You're going to get run over, dude. There's no doubt about it. You're not going to be fast enough. So I moved him along. And then I started. And then I went from there. And that was my starting point right there, was the first sign that you see. And you know where that sign's at, right when you walk into the park. And from there, I went and did my 3.1. And the selfie I took was the finish line. That was the finish line, was 3.1 miles, and it was awesome. So
that's why you're smiling then, right?
Absolutely. I did it in about 60 minutes, a little less than 60 minutes, but you know what? It was awesome to get out there with the umbrella, the rain, the fresh air.
Right.
There wasn't many people.
Well, I got to ask you a question about and this is not really about the running part of it, but I got the picture up now. And we've heard, I saw an order come down from DNR on this, that state parks that, you can go to them, and they opened them up actually from now to, I think, the end of April or part of April. You don't need the state park pass to get into. But they're shutting down all the toilet vaults, but they're putting porta potties out. That, to me, makes absolutely no sense. I don't understand why they're doing that.
So it was Wednesday or Thursday when I was on my walk. All of a sudden they started popping up, and I'm like, well, that's kind of odd. Well, yesterday in the rain, the gentleman was there with the wood to put across the doors of the permanent structure,
the vaults.
Yeah. So I think the reason they're switching is those two is, I bet you they're going to have that company come in every day and clean them out and wash them out and sanitize them. That's the only thing I can think of, is it would be easier to have that done. And then I think they got 1, 2, 3, 4, I think, there in the state park there.
Yeah, you take pictures of 2 of them.
Yeah, and they really barred that shut. So that was the 2 together are at the main structure, and the 1 is by the boat launch.
Well, here, I zoomed into the one here, this bolted shut or boarded shut.
You're not kidding, right? You're not getting into that thing.
And they got the signs up for the stay out order.
And you know what? When you drive in at the shack there, that's closed right now.
Yeah.
They've got some wording put up that not the campground, but the playground is closed. So you're not supposed to be in the playground, which actually you can't see it in the one picture, but the swing set actually has tape around it, the yellow tape around it, so you can't swing.
Oh, man. It's I understand why. I mean, I do, but you just wonder, like, how much money are they spending on these porta potties and having people come in and clean them versus cleaning the vault? I mean, couldn't you clean it similarly? I mean, I don't know. And I also heard that they were taking out the hand sanitizer and the toilet paper. People were stealing it.
That I believe. Well, that's what I think they're switching over to, a company to come in who's got all the equipment handy, a sprayer, sanitizer, all on a truck, and they can come in and take care of it right then.
Well, you think they could do that with a vault too, and it wouldn't cost them the money to rent the porta potties. I don't know. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
No, absolutely. I totally get it, but I don't know what that crew has there at that state park.
Okay. All right. Well, just wondering, but you sent a picture here, and I'm still trying. You took a picture out in the woods. Is that water running down a trail?
Okay, so you know how much it rained yesterday here,
right?
We had quite a bit, and I'm walking, and I can hear water running.
Okay.
I'm like, what is that? All of a sudden, I get up to this spot. That water has turned into basically a waterfall coming towards the road, and then it goes into underneath the road and keeps going downward. But there was so much water coming off the woods, it was just incredible.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then
Yeah.
I also got to ask, because you sent me this picture, and for the life of me, I think I know what it is. But you took a really nice picture of the fence. It's in focus, but whatever's in the field behind it is not. Is that 2 turkeys out there?
That is one turkey.
1 turkey. Okay, I figured that. I know where that's at.
That is one Tom who was strutting
Okay.
out there. That's the only turkey that I've seen walking over in that area up until yesterday. I've seen a lot more today, but they were further north on the private land.
Okay, so you're actually seeing some birds out there now. Seen a bird.
I seen a bird, but that was in the private land, and he was out there it was raining, he was strutting, and he was just enjoying the fine weather that we were having yesterday.
Okay. Ken, are you seeing any birds yet?
Yeah, I mean, driving around, my job, I drive around all day, and I actually seen my first strutter the other day, and that's always a special thing when you see one for sure, put down a show. And yeah, I've been seeing some birds. I see a lot of birds out here in Livingston, Washtenaw County, driving the back roads all day.
Gotcha. So what? How the run, Danny? I mean, we've been talking about this. We've been waiting for they canceled the race. Getting kind of back to that. Now, you've been walking a lot and putting the miles on. You want to talk about that a little bit about where you're at with that and how it's going?
What I'm doing, I've been kind of challenged by my doctor to get down to a certain weight.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right. And we were doing the weightlifting thing and everything, and I was maintaining. So I was kind of happy.
Right.
But he thinks I can lose 15 more pounds.
Okay.
So I said, all right, dude, you're on. So we are on a track. I got till April 23rd to get down to lose my 15 pounds. And I got, what do we got? About 3 weeks left.
Yeah.
And I got about 3.5 pounds to go.
Okay.
And I should be there.
All right. So you're right on target for hitting it.
So I plan on walking into his office to go, look, bub, here it is.
Right on. Well, yeah, we got a few more minutes here. We'll keep talking. I just looking up at the clock here, seeing where we're at time-wise. So you're not doing the weight thing anymore, obviously because the gym's closed. Are you doing any archery shooting outside at all? Are you putting that into your repertoire?
I thought about it yesterday for a split second, and it was raining, and I was like, oh, all right. But I hope we get some warm weather, I want to get outside, and I want to start shooting the bow again. So, but I'm kind of on a quest to get this weight down before I get there.
Gotcha. All right. Ken, how about you? I know you've been busy. You've been real busy, but I know we talked at ATA a little bit. Have you been able to fit anything in yet for getting back at it?
I haven't, and this, about a week before all this craziness started, I got the stomach flu, and so that had me messed up, and then, like, as soon as I got over the stomach flu, all this coronavirus stuff, my gym shut down, but prior to that, I was doing really good. I was, Hamburg Fitness Center here, going there 3-4 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing both cardio and strength training, doing the sauna for 20 minutes, 3-4 times a week.
Right.
Eating really good during the day, and I was losing weight. But I'll admit, I'm motivated. I'm doing some food prep tonight. I'm going to get back on the wagon. I'm going to start doing what Danny's doing and going for hikes on these state park trails.
All right. Hey, that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
It's a struggle, especially now. Like you said, the gyms are closed. I managed to put a few things together and build a gym downstairs a little bit where I can work out. But, even with that, it's just, it's a pain.
Yeah, it's, to me, I have a kettlebell here,
mm-hmm.
and we have some dumbbells, and I'm going to do some stuff, and there's plenty of at-home cardio you can do there. You go on YouTube and search at-home cardio, there's a million. But me personally, I like the process of going to the gym. I like being at the gym. I've always liked working out, and so to me, I like that aspect of it. I just do, and I really miss it.
There's something about being at the gym, okay, so I'm working out here at home, that's fine, I'm getting it done, but like you said, when you're there and there's other people, I don't know, it's kind of, It's kind of like I wouldn't say a support system, but it's that motivation. You see everybody else, and you see
Yes.
all shapes and sizes, and it's like, okay, well, that person's doing that, and that person's doing that. You see 50 people working out. It's like you don't have an excuse all of a sudden to not get it done.
Exactly. I almost feel like I'm punching the clock. I'm punching in. I'm here. Let's do it. I'm here to work, and that's kind of that feeling I have.
Mm-hmm. What about you,
Yeah.
Dan? What do you think about it?
Oh, exactly the same thing. When I was the last day I was over at Planet Fitness, Tyler was I explained to Tyler what I needed to do, and he goes, "Hey, do the 30-minute workout. Throw that in there while you're doing all this cardio, and it'll help you." And he goes, "I'll even do it with you because I'll show you how to do it." And of course, they closed the next day.
Right. Yeah, that stinks. And who knows when we're going to get back in there? That's the other thing, is that there's so much stuff that's shut down right now. We've got just a few minutes here left in this segment. Just briefly talk a little bit about, how are you guys? Whoever wants to jump in first. How are you getting by with this, stay-at-home thing, the stay-at-home order here in the state of Michigan?
Ken.
For me, so I'm a home care nurse, and I'm literally my job requires me to do the worst possible thing anyone could do right now, and that's to go to 7 or 8 different houses a day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the best I can with wearing my PPE, and trying to be smart and ultra cautious, which nurses are anyway, but now I've really ramped it up. But as far as, being at home, my wife and kid, we're, our church is shut down. We're at church a lot during the week, so
Mm-hmm.
we're not doing that. And that's been really weird for us. Church is a big part of our life, and to not be there on Wednesday night, not driving the van, picking up the kids, bringing them Sundays like today, it's so weird not to be doing that. And but we're hanging in. We have a good attitude, and but yeah, we're doing our part. We're not as bad as I'd like to take my kid and go over and play with his cousins over here in South Lyon, and go to my wife's parents, my in-laws' house, and have a nice fire and hang out there. We're not doing any of that. We're just working and coming home.
What about you, Dan? How are you getting through?
You know what? Working from home, we've had to make some adjustments doing that, but we're moving forward. We're going to be working from home until further notice. We don't have an end date, so to speak, that they know of. They have an idea, but as far as that, so that takes up. Actually, it seems like I'm working more than I'm at home now. I don't know why, but it does. But then in the afternoon, it's like I go for my walk, get that out of the way, and then in the evenings, like you said, we just, if we need to run to the store, we'll do that. But we're not usually, going for our typical walks at other places as much. So
Yeah.
It's more of the fresh air walking than maybe going to a store and just looking around or something like that, or going, it's just you kind of get more attuned to the crowds of people.
What, Danny? What's the thing you miss the most so far?
Well, I don't actually. Working from home can be tough because some people are hands-on and need to see you there. So when you gotta in my business, if I want to try to draw on a piece of paper what I'm trying to explain, it's a little tough. So that's work-wise can be a little tedious that way.
Ken, what about you?
Yeah, I'd have to say, I'd say I miss being with my church family. I miss so many people that I go to church with. I mean, they're my close friends. A lot of times, we see them, like I said, Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Wednesdays. I really enjoy that time of fellowship, and I'd have to say probably that. I mean, because other than that, I don't really do much anyway.
Right.
I'm kind of a homebody. If I'm not at home in the woods or on the water, I'm usually at church or just at home hanging out. I mean, I don't really go much and do anything.
I gotcha. I think
Anyway,
for me, go ahead, Dan.
It's funny you say that about working from home, and Ken's out there, and I see my brother commented that they got him working, and they're sending him to Ohio to pick up materials for his company.
Yeah, I see that now. Yeah, I see that comment down there. It's I don't know. It's weird. I guess the thing that I've missed the most so far is spending time with my grandkids. They've been by the house twice briefly. We were outside. We meet outside the house, in the driveway. Mm-hmm. You can't hug them. You can't pick them up. You can't kiss them. You got to keep your distance, and you tell them you love them, and watch them drive off. And it's just, I don't know. It's odd. It's really odd. So.
Yeah.
But
that's got to be hard.
I'll tell you what, let's step outside. Let's take our last break here. We come back. I'll kind of run down a few things I've been doing, and we'll wrap up the show and see if we got any more questions here. So we'll be right back after this.
Okay, last segment of the show, people. If you got any more fishing questions you want to get to Ken, I see we got a couple. So we'll come back into the next segment. We'll finish up with a couple, and then we'll find out from Mike what he's been doing.
Oh, good.
Ken's taking over the show tonight.
Yeah, I keep waiting. I keep waiting for one of my tournament buddies to come on there and mess with me a little bit, but
that'd be good.
Because honestly, disclaimer. I mean, I'm not down on myself here being negative, but hey, I'd like to do this stuff, but I promise you, I know a lot of guys and I fish for a lot of guys that are a lot better than me, and I'm just an enthusiast. So I'm just telling you the best that I can to what I've experienced, but I fish against guys that are really, really good, man.
Well, and that's all part of learning, sharing that information, and what you're giving people is what's helped you along the way, and and that's what it's about. It's about sharing information with each other and helping somebody else get to that next level. Yep. So it's kind of like Danny and I with target archery. I mean, we're not a Stephen Hansen quality, or a John Dudley, but we started shooting and we're having fun at it and we're learning, and that's all you can ask for, and pass that along to people who want to learn. So. Yep. All right, here we go. Stand by in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. Last segment of the show. Sitting here in our new, freshly renovated Up North Journal cabin and Up North Journal boat dock. So we got to give Ken the props on the boat dock. But we're in Up North Journal cabin north and south. And we're going to get that name changed on the bottom there for Ken and call that the UNJ Boat Dock.
I love it.
So, Danny, you said you had a couple more questions there?
Yeah, I see there's a question from my brother here that says, and I just flipped right. Okay, there it is. What is Ken's general rule of thumb for colors? Must be color of lures.
Yeah, so, we kind of touched on that a little bit earlier, but if you're in a clear water Michigan lake, you're going to want to have natural colors. You don't want to go with anything outlandish like pink or purple or nothing weird, no weird colors. I mean, pink can work sometimes around smallmouth, but for the most part, in these clear Michigan lakes, you want to match the hatch. And there's lots of lures out there that have the actual name of the color is bluegill or perch or emerald shiner. You want to go with something like that. Crayfish in the summertime here typically are green pumpkin. Okay, you can't go wrong with green pumpkin anything in our lakes. Green pumpkin blue, green pumpkin maybe purple. Anything green pumpkin, you're going to be just fine when it comes to your soft plastics. Black and blue, and typically, the dirtier the water. Not all our water is super clean. So if you get into real dirty water where there's maybe only a foot to a foot and a half visibility, it's a tannic water or just a muddy water, then you want to throw white or black or bright orange or pink, something that them fish can see in that water. White, black and blue, or bright orange or red. That's a go-to in dirty water. Or like low light conditions, first thing in the morning, a lot of guys like to throw a black and blue jig, and then as the sun comes up, they'll switch back to a more natural color. But in our lakes, you can't go wrong green pumpkin anything, bluegill or perch pattern, and you're going to be good to go.
Cool.
Yep.
Green pumpkin. I like green pumpkin.
Yep.
Right.
It seems like that's what every time I turn around, everybody's always talking about green pumpkin. And that's what I think that's what we used when we were up on Long Lake, wasn't it, Danny? A couple of summers back, we were up there smallmouth fishing. Isn't that the color we were using?
It might have. It was the when we were
using the wacky rigs.
Wacky rig.
There's a color that Strike King makes, and they're soft plastics, and it's killer. It's called KVD Magic. It's KVD Magic. It's a great imitator of a bluegill or perch. Strike King makes it, and that's another great color. I just thought I'd throw that in there. because it doesn't say green pop. Because there's a lot of other colors that have different names that are just fine. But just, if it looks like a bluegill or a perch, use it. Just kind of, picture in your mind and just go with that. But nothing outlandish in these Clearwater lakes. Try to match the hatch. I mean, if anything, I know that's cliche, but that's what it takes.
That's what it is, right? That's what you're always trying to do is match whatever's in the water that's feeding them.
Yeah, and if you get, it's even better, if you get a bass to spit something up, or if I catch a bass and I can see 2 crayfish tentacles stick, I always look in their mouth. You see 2 crayfish tentacles sticking out, well, all right, they're eating crayfish. So I'm gonna throw a jig or a crayfish plastic. They'll spit up bluegill, things like that. So you just gotta pay attention.
I know some people that they carry a syringe with them when they're trout fishing, and they'll suck and see what the fish are eating on.
Really?
Yeah, like it's kind of not like a syringe, like a turkey baster, and they'll squeeze the bulb and stick it down in them, and then suck out what they've got there, just down their throat a little bit. And then they'll squirt it out in their hand, and they'll look to see what are they eating on? What kind of flies are they?
It's a great idea.
So if it doesn't hurt the fish, hey, I'd say, hey, try it out and see what happens. So
yeah, that's awesome. And a big shout out to Tim Cias, who hasn't missed a day of work because the timber industry is an essential, and he says for us to be safe up here up north.
Yeah, I see. Hey,
thank you, Tim.
Back at you too, Tim. That's the thing that worries me right now with all this going on is missing work. Like Danny, you went out and you ran yesterday, and you called me up and wanted me to meet you at 10:30, and I'm like, I can't do it. It's raining. I can't come out.
Yep.
I can't go outside and play. Mom won't let me. Actually, it's trying to protect my job, because if I even get a cold, just a regular cold, you don't know if you've got the COVID or not, so they send you home. And then if you don't have it, well, guess what? You're home and you're burning PTO, and then that cuts into hunting time. So I decided to hang out until later in the day before I went out. So
right. What have you been doing, Mike? We talked about myself. We talked about Ken. What have you been doing?
A little this, a little that, and a little the other. Is the best way to put it.
You did your run.
I did, but the thing I kind of been doing here lately is hitting the weights. I got a picture of part of my gym down here, and it's got red paint on the floor, and I got accused of spilling blood on the floor. So I said,
because you're working out so hard.
Right. So, but no, that's kind of been my repertoire lately, is really staying on task with that and hitting that hard. And then also something else new that I did and I've kind of put in is walking at work. I walked a parking lot. Speaking of work, which Tim Cias is talking about, is, one time around the parking lot's a tenth of a mile. So 10 times around's a mile, or 10 times around's a mile. So I can do that usually in about 30 minutes. So if I got a half-hour lunch, I can get out there and put a mile and a half sometimes if I'm lucky, if I'm really cranking it. So that's been new. But yeah, I ran my 5K yesterday, and you can see here I'm donning my scent lock socks. That's one thing, when I'm out running, I like to have those socks on because they just help my feet so much. And then before I took off, it was a little chilly out, so I put my scent lock face mask on, kind of cut that cold air down. You weren't really running, you were fast walking, right?
Yes, I was fast walking.
Did you have a problem with the air temperature? Especially since you've been walking these last 3 or 4 weeks. Does that hurt your lungs at all?
You know what? No, it doesn't. It hasn't. Not really. Nope. Not
Okay.
like it. Not like when I'm on the elliptical for the first
Gotcha.
couple minutes. Then I'm fine.
Okay. And then here's a pic of me. I was a half mile away from the end and looked like death wormed over. So, but I ran my 5K in 39:05. So
There you go, man. That's awesome.
I cut time off my. That's only the second 5K that I've ran outside. And Ken, is it getting dark outside?
It is. Yeah, I'm losing light here.
I just looked up in the box. I'm
You
like,
just see, yeah.
I just see eyes and teeth
my
there,
foot.
man.
Yeah.
In the outline of your face.
I was looking at that. That's saying.
But
I'll flip this light on if I have to.
I ran my first 5K outdoors back in Thanksgiving, and I cut 5:25 off that time. This is only the second time I've ran outside, so somebody's phone's dinging.
Yep, sorry.
That's okay. So, but that's kind of been it. I didn't shoot my bow this week at all. I didn't get outside that much just to run. And when I did, man, it felt so good and so invigorating to get outside, get some fresh air, and kind of get the juices flowing again, because I've been stuck inside. You know, it's been a bad week at work. All we do is hear bad news, and I worked a 14-hour day one day, and I'm stuck in one room all day, and I hate it. I hate it. But we're working, you know? So, you know, at least we're working. And there's a lot of people out there right now that can't get outside, and they're not working, and it stinks. So, I guess I shouldn't complain.
Yeah, I hear that.
So, right? So,
I hear that.
Looks like we got
one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Question. Were you going to get it, or was I going to get it?
I got it here. Another question from your brother, Terry. He asked Ken. He says, "When is the general hatch times on the lakes around here?" You know, I guess it depends on what type of fish you're fishing for and which hatch you're talking about.
As far as bug hatches go,
I guess so.
Yeah, I'm not too sure on the bug hatches, Terry. I know that, you know, as soon as we first start getting, I know for sure, like the bayfly hatch, you know, obviously that's late May, early June a lot of times, but that first week of 60-degree weather that we get, there's a lot of bugs on the water on the lake. There's a lot of, as soon as it seems like we get that 60-degree, first week of solid 60-degree temps, when the nighttime temps probably just dipping into the low 50s, I notice a lot of bug hatches going on, especially on like the Huron River, if I'm on the chain of lakes and stuff like. You get a lot of these midges type of deals starting to happen, but I'm not too knowledgeable on the bug hatches at all, really.
You know what? Would that be a question for your buddy over at the bait shop we talked about?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure he could answer
all right,
that.
Maybe we'll hook up with him and get his take, and maybe we can get a schedule out of when things are going to hatch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you know, something else I'd like to kind of talk about here before we go and wrap up things is the things here in Michigan. They've been talking about, you know, we can get out and fish. I mean, Ken, you've seen the reports have been coming out, and I've been posting them. You've been posting them. They're encouraging people to get out and fish. They're encouraging them to get out and use the parks and hike and bike and do things of that nature. You know, and we're seeing that from Michigan DNR. But on the other hand, and I kind of scratch my head, and this is, I'm going to get up on my soapbox here for a minute.
Here we go.
One hand of the state government is saying get out and enjoy the outdoors, but practice social distancing. And then on the other hand, you've got the governor saying shelter indoors. Don't, you know, you need to stay in your house. You don't need to be traveling.
Right.
And it's, what's going on? I mean, you have one telling you one thing, one telling you another, and they're saying, well, if you don't abide by the rules, you know, we're going to clamp down on everything. And are we hearing a mixed message?
Definitely.
You know,
in my opinion, she's contradicted She's contradicted everything the DNR has put out.
Exactly.
Well, Ken, you even questioned it and said, "Can I go fishing?"
Well, and yeah, I mean, because, you know, I want to follow the law. As much as I don't like it, I want to be within the rules. And, you know, that's why I was getting confused, because I was actually, up until that point, I was fine, because I had read the executive order, Section 7, exceptions, says right there, go ahead and get outdoors, keep your distance. Then she gets on this town hall meeting type thing, and basically makes you sound like a criminal if you want to go for a motorcycle ride.
I saw that.
Yeah.
A guy asked about riding his motorcycle.
Yeah. So I'm like, which is it? You know, I wish he'd just come out and just say it once and for all. You know, because look, there's a ton of people that fish in the state, especially this time of year. Turkey hunting's coming around the corner. I mean, I wish he'd address it.
Well, you know what, and I heard out in the state of Washington that they're not allowing people to go fishing or hunting.
I heard that.
And they're not even selling licenses right now.
Yeah, that's scary.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Rory mentioned that.
Yeah, you know, and I part of me understands, you know, because that's kind of where it really took off when it first hit the United States. It took off out in the state of Washington, up there in Seattle, but. You know, they're telling you to stay, you know, away from everybody. What better way to stay away from somebody than to go out on a lake in a boat by yourself, or to go to to the woods, your hunting woods, and do a little shed hunting, hiking, scouting, whatever it may be. But I will say this, and there was a point about this that kind of struck me. That, they told everybody they don't want the downstaters going up north. They don't want the big influx of people escaping and bringing the virus up north, because they would inundate their hospitals. And I kind of thought about that. I'm like, well, yeah, that does kind of make sense, because where I hunt, the nearest hospital is Alpena. And I was talking with our camp manager, and he said, yeah, they've got like 4 beds, or 4 ventilators, I think is what he said. And if you get a big influx of people coming from downstate up there, and all of a sudden it kind of explodes up there, they're going to be inundated up there, and it could really cost you your life if you're going up there to get away.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts? You're in the medical field.
Yeah, I no doubt about it. I mean, I don't think, especially if you live in Washtenaw County, Oakland County, Wayne County, I think it's extremely irresponsible. I'm not saying you can't do it. You don't have the right to do it. I'm just saying on a human level, I think it is irresponsible to bring that to our northern neighbors up there. I mean, I'm not saying that you would bring it, and I'm not saying, you could easily just go to your camp, mind your business, not even come in contact with somebody. But chances are you're going to stop at a gas station. You're going to, you're going to stop somewhere along the way. And I don't know, and that's true. I tell you one thing, and no offense to our northern Michigan listeners, but I mean, boy, that's the last place I want to be if I've got that. I want to be down here by U of M or Beaumont or something. I don't want to be up there. You want
to be where technology.
No offense to the doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. No offense to them doctors up there. I'm sure they're very capable. Like you said, that Alpena Hospital has 4 ventilators, and how practiced are the doctors up there at putting a vent in?
Right.
I mean, that's a serious procedure. And so, yeah, I would say, as bad as I want to go up to my property and go fish on my private lake up there just north of Gladwin at Sugar Springs, I desperately want to go up there. But not until this governor lifts the ban, and I'm just going to have to wait it out.
Well, Danny and I, we've talked about going turkey hunting, and, we really don't know. I'm not going to buy a license until I know I can go.
I'm in the same boat. I'm not buying anything until I know what's going on.
Why burn the cash?
Yep.
To me, that's kind of pointless. I mean, especially the tags we're buying, they're over-the-counter tags anyway for the area that we're going to hunt. But
yeah,
until that time, it's going to be really interesting. I'm going to play devil's advocate here and extend. Let's extend this out.
Sure.
Let's say until June. Okay.
Oh boy.
Or the middle of June. Let's just say that's the case. Okay. So May rolls around. Okay, you put in from May 1st to June 1st, you got to put in for your bear tag and your elk tag. So guys who want to go elk hunting, are you going to take a chance on burning that tag and not being able to go? Heaven forbid it lasts into, the fall. Or the guys with the bear tag, all of a sudden it lasts, into an extended period of time. Or maybe they don't even allow you to put in this year. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Danny?
Do you think it would get to a point that they would say this year we're just giving out points only?
I don't know. I don't know what the DNR's thinking.
That'd be a management disaster for those elk up there too, though. That just means they'd have to go shoot the elk and the bear. You know what I mean? That'd be bad news if we didn't bear hunt for a year. You know what I mean? That'd be bad.
I think the elk situation might not be as bad because there's only usually 200 or 300 that are taken usually, and I think they could step that next season up and take care of that problem.
The next year, right?
Maybe, but I think it's maybe more detrimental for the bear just because there's such a bigger population of them.
Yeah, I don't know
totally
what they're gonna do.
Interesting. Things that make you go,
Stay tuned, right?
I guess. I don't know.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going to happen. That's the scary thing about this. I mean, I'm not worked up about it, but we don't. This is total uncharted deep water that we don't know.
It's time to start treading water.
Yep.
Make sure you get your PFD on too.
Yeah.
Because it might be a little bit of a long tread here. I hope not. I really hope not. I'm hoping things turn here in I hope we can all get in a cabin here and share a cup of Hunter's Blend coffee at some point together, and not have to worry about social distancing. Because there's times that I just want to take it and I want to give Danny a little tap on the head, bang.
Right?
Yeah, I know Danny wants to put his foot in my backside every now and then too, bang. So
That's right.
but no, it's been a good talk tonight. It's been good talking with all you guys. Hang on, I see something here. Your brother just posted something on. It's when you go somewhere and it's stopping at the gas station and touching things. Right? Yeah, exactly. The more we stay put, the quicker we get back. Terry. I'm right there with you. It's the problem is not everybody adheres to the same things, and it's hard to, in a civil society that we got, in an open society where we've got constitutional freedoms, and that's the way this country was formed. And it's, how do you tell somebody, no, you can't go to your cabin and go fishing?
Yeah.
And how far is too far? Maybe somebody's got a pond or a patch of woods that's 10 miles away from their house, and they go and they do what they need to do. But we want to go 150 miles, and we can't do that. What's the right thing, and what's the acceptable thing? I guess we got to each ask ourselves that.
That's what it is.
Deep thoughts from the
Deep
Up North
thoughts
Journal.
by Up North Journal.
So, but well, I tell you what, we're running a little long here on the show, so let's wrap up the podcast. We'll hang on the live stream here for just a minute. I see another something else here popping in, but for the podcast people, that'll do it for us this week. Stay safe out there, practice social distancing, do the right thing, whatever that means for you, and share the show over on your social media if you could. You give us a like on Facebook, give us a follow or subscribe.
Go over to YouTube. Check us out.
Yeah, on YouTube. iTunes. Go over to iTunes if you're listening to us on iTunes, and give us a rating over there if you would as well. So that helps us all out. Y'all take care, and we'll be back again next week. All right, on the live stream, I just saw Charles Byram. If we don't keep buying our tags and licenses, we will be hurting the outdoors. I understand that, Charles. I do. I agree. There's a lot of things I buy license-wise that I don't ever even use. So, but I don't know about buying a turkey license and not being able to go. I don't know. I still buy a hunting license. I know that. So,
Right.
well, I think, did our live stream just dump? Oh, we're back there. There it is. I think it just dipped for a second. Hang on here.
People are sad we went off.
No, we're still streaming, I think.
Yeah, we are.
But I don't know, man. It is. It's a weird time. It's a strange time, for all of us.
Yeah, in all honesty, it's just my opinion. I think, in 2-3 weeks from now, I think things will be a lot more calm. And I think, if you look around the world where this virus has been, even in Italy, where it's been, just devastating. I mean, things are starting to, improve slightly, for whatever that's worth,
I think I heard something about that today. Things seem to start to level off a little.
And it's going to level off. And, I just tell people, stop watching the news. Just stay home and don't watch the news.
Hey, that's where I work, man.
Oh, that's right. Well, watch Mike's news, and that's it.
Watch the Up North Journal. That's where you want to get your news from.
There we go.
Right.
Watch us.
Yeah.
No, that's
I don't know.
Tom Ginsel says, good show, stay safe. Yeah, back at you. Tammy Delk, thanks for the show, guys. Appreciate you watching, Tammy. I saw Adam Wynn on earlier. I saw Lincoln Roan on. There's quite a few people that are popped in tonight we haven't seen in a while, so it's really good to hear from everybody. Tim Cius, if I can't turkey hunt this year, I will be disappointed. No, Tim, if you can't turkey hunt this year, you're going to be devastated. Come on, say it like it is, man. I understand. Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Ken, what they said, you can't bass fish this year. You can't go on the water.
Oh, yeah, that's. Oh
Yeah.
man, that'd just be brutal. It would. It'd be sickening, honestly.
You just wonder at what point it's going to come. I mean, they've taken away our sports. We can't watch any sports right now because there's nothing on. They've pushed back the Olympics this year from the Summer Olympics. I mean, there's so many things that are being affected. And yeah, okay, so that's trivial compared to human lives. I understand that, but I'm just talking in general here. You know, obviously people have lost their lives, and we're not making light of that in any way, shape, or form. So.
Yeah, but I don't. You know, I mean, the only thing you could say is, okay, you know, how are we spreading anything if we're going from our house to the truck to the field, or house, truck, boat, water? But I mean, you have to do it, but you could, you know, if you're stopping somewhere, you know, that's a problem. If you're stopping at the gas station, if you're, you know, whatever.
Okay, let me ask you this.
That way.
Let me ask you this, Ken, because you're on the road a lot. Yeah. And I thought about this the other day when I fill up with gas. Okay, so how many people have touched that pump? Are you taking any precautions when you're pumping gas?
I'm not wearing gloves like all these other knuckleheads out there. I use, and I've always done this anyway, but I just do hand sanitizer. I do hand sanitizer before I get out of the truck. I have to be sparing with it because even the nurses can't order it like we'd like to. Mm-hmm. But I just make sure I do good hand sanitizer after I get gas. Okay. You know, I pump the gas, put it back on, I get it, wait till I'm in my truck, started it, reach over my bag, a little squirt of hand sanitizer, and you're good to go. I mean, because that's primarily how it's being transmitted, is from hands to face. Okay. And so as long as you're being smart and washing your hands a lot and doing hand sanitizer, you know, if you can train yourself to kind of keep your hands away from your face and have good hand hygiene, you're not going to get this thing, you know, unless you spend a lot of time with someone who does have it, right. You know, through the air. So I mean, I just make sure I do good hand sanitizer, and you know, I mean, it's hard because I burn through a lot of it because I'm in people's houses and I'm touching their doorknobs and I'm touching their furniture. I mean, I wear gloves when I'm doing things with them, but you know, it's getting kind of scary because I'm almost out of hand sanitizer and soap. I've probably got 2 or 3 weeks left. Yeah. And right now we can't order it. So once I'm out, I won't be able to do my job. Now, I have heard that stuff's coming back around. I have heard by the end of the week the nurses will be able to get hand sanitizer and soap again. So I'm praying that that's true. And but right now, like, I've only got a few weeks left of stuff.
Yeah, I hear you. It's you know, you talk about the way things are changing. I went to the store for the first time Thursday night. I stopped in, and I haven't been in a supermarket or a store since this all took place. Yeah. And my wife, she works at the local grocery store, so I don't have to go in and get that stuff. But anyway, I stopped on my way home from work, and you know, I walked in, and it was so eerie. It was so different. You know, there's very few people in there, and the ones that were in there, they don't look at anybody. Their heads are down. You can see it on their face. You can see the, I don't know if it's concern, if it's depression or fear. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but you can see something on their face. And I got in the aisle and I was looking for something, and all of a sudden I felt somebody up real close to me. I mean, real close, like next to me. And I kind of looked and I eased back, and all of a sudden I turned and somebody's on the other side of me. Yeah. And all of a sudden that concern and fear hit me, and I'm like, I'm out of here. And I turned around and I was out of the aisle. And then when I checked out, I went to the checkout and I'm like, well, who's touched the scanner? You know, who's touched the bags? And all of a sudden, I'm like, all of a sudden the fear got to me, and I'm like, man, you can't live like that. You can't live in fear. Be smart. Just be smart.
Just be smart. And if you have hand sanitizer, carry it with you. Use it often. And that's all you can do. I mean, I think this is really, at the end of the day, I think this is really going to change how we do a lot of things in this country. This is going to leave a permanent scar, you know, hopefully in a good way, but it's just, you know, this is going to change a lot.
That was my question. Is you think it's going to be in a good way, or you think? Obviously, I think some will be in a bad way.
Some will be in a bad way, but I think it's going to make people in a good way. I think it's, you know, as a nurse, not just nurses, doctors, nurses' aides, whoever works in the medical field, you know, we're practically brainwashed about hand hygiene and PPE use. Like, that's just what everyone's doing now. Mm-hmm. That's our daily life at work. That's like what that's what they teach you in college. That's what they drill into you. How everyone's acting now is how we act anyway every day at work. Right. So I think the general public has become more aware of, you know, hand hygiene at a minimum.
Well, Danny, I see your brother says that they use gloves at the truck pumps when they're pumping gas. What we were talking about. So, All right, guys. Well, I think we're pretty much up on the end of it here. We've had a good hour and 20 minutes almost, and Ken, I appreciate you taking some time out of your day. I know this is your day off, so get over there and spend time with the family. And Danny, if you guys will hang on just a second, let me wrap up the show here, and we'll chat right afterwards.
Right.
So. But that'll do it for us this week, folks. Y'all take care, and we'll be back again next week. As I said before, go over to YouTube, subscribe there, share us on social media, give us a like, and help us spread the show if you could. Appreciate everybody this week. We'll be back again next week, 7 p.m. Sunday night. Y'all take care.